Imagine holding a book that no one on earth can read. Not scholars, not code breakers, not even the most powerful computers ever built. Its pages are filled with flowing, elegant handwriting in a language that doesn't exist. Strange plants bloom across its illustrations. Naked figures bathe in impossible green pools. This is the Voynich Manuscript, and for over 600 years, it has defeated everyone who dared to try. Today, we explore its haunting mystery together. The story begins in 1912, in a crumbling Italian villa near Rome. A rare book dealer named Wilfred Voynich was searching through dusty crates of ancient volumes. Among them, he found something extraordinary. A small, unassuming book bound in soft vellum, but when he opened it, his heart must have raced. The pages were covered in writing he couldn't understand, illustrations he couldn't explain. Voynich knew instantly he'd stumbled upon something the world had never seen. The manuscript is surprisingly small, roughly the size of a modern paperback. It contains around 240 pages, though some appear to be missing. Written on carefully prepared animal skin parchment, its ink has faded to soft browns over the centuries. The handwriting flows smoothly, confidently, as though the author wrote effortlessly in a language they knew by heart. There are no corrections, no hesitations. Whoever created this book seemed completely fluent, in words nobody else can decipher. For decades, skeptics wondered if the whole thing was a clever modern hoax. So in 2009, scientists took tiny samples of the vellum and ran them through radiocarbon dating. The results were stunning. The parchment dated to between 1404 and 1438, the early 15th century. This wasn't a Victorian trick or a recent forgery. The Voynich manuscript is genuinely, verifiably ancient. Someone truly created this bewildering book more than 600 years ago. The text itself is the heart of the mystery. It's written in an unknown alphabet, sometimes called Voynichese. There are roughly 20 to 30 distinct characters, some looking vaguely like Latin letters, others entirely alien. The words follow patterns. Certain characters appear at the beginnings of words, others only at the ends. It behaves like a real language, with structure and rhythm. Yet it matches no known tongue, living or dead, from anywhere on the planet. The largest part of the manuscript is filled with plants. Page after page shows detailed drawings of flowers, roots, and leaves, all painted in soft blues, greens, and browns. Botanists have studied them for a century, hoping to identify even one species. But here's the unsettling part. Almost none of these plants exist. They seem to be imaginary hybrids, combining roots from one plant with the leaves and blossoms of another entirely. Turn further, and the illustrations shift toward the heavens. There are circular diagrams filled with stars, suns, and moons. Some resemble zodiac charts, showing familiar signs like fish, a bull, and a scorpion. Tiny naked figures stand inside star-shaped medallions, arranged around the wheels. These pages suggest an interest in astrology or the movements of celestial bodies. But like everything else, the meaning stays locked away, guarded by that impenetrable, flowing script. Perhaps the strangest section shows dozens of small nude women bathing in interconnected pools of green liquid. Elaborate networks of pipes and tubes carry the fluid between basins, almost like plumbing or human anatomy. Scholars call this the balneological section. Some believe it relates to medieval medicine or the healing properties of water. Others see something more symbolic, even alchemical. Whatever the truth, these bizarre, dreamlike images add yet another layer to an already baffling puzzle. Elsewhere, we find rows of what look like apothecary jars, beautifully decorated containers you might see in a medieval pharmacy. Beside them are drawings of plant parts, roots, and leaves neatly labeled with that unreadable text. This section feels practical, as if it were a recipe book or a guide to preparing medicines. If only we could read the labels. The author clearly intended this knowledge to be used, but by whom? And for what? During World War II, the world's finest codebreakers turned their brilliant minds to the Voynich. These were the same people who cracked Nazi ciphers and shortened the war. Surely they could conquer an old book. William Friedman, America's legendary cryptologist, spent years obsessed with it. His teams applied every technique they knew, and yet after all that genius and effort, they failed completely. Friedman finally admitted the manuscript had defeated even him and his greatest colleagues. So what could it actually be? One popular idea is that Voynichese is a cipher, a real language deliberately encoded to hide its meaning. Perhaps a scholar wanted to protect dangerous knowledge from the church or guard valuable secrets from rivals. Medieval Europe had plenty of reasons for secrecy. The trouble is, every known encryption method has been tested against it. If it's a code, it's unlike any code humanity has ever invented or broken. Another theory suggests it's a genuine language that has simply vanished from history. Maybe a small community spoke and wrote it, then disappeared, taking their words with them. Some researchers point to statistical patterns that resemble natural human speech. The frequency of certain characters, the length of words, these feel organic, not random. If true, the Voynich might be the last surviving record of a people we know absolutely nothing about. Then there are those who believe it's all a beautiful lie. Perhaps a clever con artist in the 15th century created gibberish that merely looked meaningful, then sold it as a book of ancient wisdom. Medieval Europe was full of eager collectors willing to pay handsomely for mysterious knowledge. But this theory has a serious problem. The text is too consistent, too structured. Producing convincing fake language across 240 pages would itself be an astonishing achievement. A more unusual idea involves what psychologists call glossolalia, or speaking in tongues. Perhaps the author entered a trance-like state and wrote spontaneously, producing text that felt meaningful to them, but carried no actual language. This might explain why it has structure, yet resists translation. It could be the outpouring of a deeply spiritual or troubled mind. It's a haunting possibility that the book means everything to its creator, and nothing to everyone else. We can trace the manuscript through some remarkable hands. In the early 17th century, it belonged to Rudolf II, the Holy Roman Emperor. Legend says he paid an enormous sum of gold for it, believing it was written by the famous English philosopher Roger Bacon. Rudolf was fascinated by the occult, alchemy, and mystery. That such a powerful ruler treasured this book only deepens the intrigue. Even emperors were captivated by its unknowable secrets. The manuscript passed to Rudolf's associates, then eventually to a scholar named Athanasius Kircher, one of the brightest minds of his age. A desperate letter survives, begging Kircher to unlock the text's meaning. He never did. For a while, the book vanished into the archives of a Jesuit college, hidden away and forgotten. It slept in darkness for over 200 years, patiently waiting, until Wilfrid Voynich would rediscover it and reawaken its mystery. Surely modern technology could succeed where humans failed. In recent decades, powerful computers and artificial intelligence have analyzed the Voynich in extraordinary detail. In 2018, researchers claimed an algorithm suggested the base language might be Hebrew. Others proposed it was a form of Turkish or a Romance dialect. Each announcement sparked headlines and hope, and each one, upon closer inspection, fell apart under scrutiny. The manuscript continues to slip through even our most advanced digital fingers. You might wonder why anyone cares about an unreadable old book. But the Voynich represents something profound, the limits of human knowledge. In an age when we've mapped the genome and photographed black holes, here is a small book on a shelf that quietly defeats us all. It reminds us that mystery still exists, that not everything can be Googled or solved. Some puzzles remain humbling and beautiful, waiting for the right mind to arrive. Here's the truly inspiring part. The Voynich Manuscript is completely available online, scanned in stunning high resolution by Yale University. Anyone can study it right now for free. Amateur researchers have contributed real insights that professionals missed. You don't need a doctorate or a supercomputer, just curiosity, patience, and fresh eyes. Perhaps the answer requires a perspective nobody has tried yet. Perhaps the person who finally cracks it is watching this video. For 600 years, the Voynich Manuscript has kept its secrets. Emperors, codebreakers, scholars and machines have all tried and failed. Yet it endures, patient and silent, its strange plants forever blooming, its bathing women forever waiting, its flowing words forever unread. Maybe one day someone will finally speak its language. Or maybe it will stay a mystery forever, reminding us that wonder still exists. Thank you for exploring it with me today.